Hey everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome to another mini-sode of Let's Get Naked podcast. I am here today with Kendall. She is the director of operations for the podcast studio that I record at. And she has agreed to sit with me today to talk about the new book that I'm releasing on October 29th called The Life Hack Playbook. So welcome, Kendall. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. We've been learning so much about her book, and I cannot wait to deep dive even more into more tips without giving away the whole book.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me more about what you want to dive into today.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about what I like to call the 69 initiative. So it really goes into perspective, right? Obviously, it's just the play on the 69, which ties to the Let's Get Naked podcast.
It's not what you think, y'all.
I know, exactly. Well, it's not what you think, you're right. But the perspective to me is huge. And I think everybody needs to kind of have a better understanding of perspective because everyone in our day and age now is really coming from their own perspective and thinking that they're right and everybody else must be wrong.
Well, and I also feel like they're not willing to see anybody else's perspective.
Of course, right? And so it's just kind of putting visual spin on perspective so that other people can kind of understand that and think about it from a different way. You know, I describe perspective a little bit kind of like a disco ball. Everyone is their own little piece of glass in that disco ball. And so you're looking at maybe what's in the center from your unique perspective. And your unique perspective is built by, what your life experiences have been, how you present, right? I'm a 48-year-old straight white woman. That's how I'm experiencing this human experience. Someone standing next to me could be, a 30-year-old black man or a 20-year-old Hispanic woman or whatever it is. But we all have our unique perspectives. And so to be able to look at that from what would the disco ball be if we only just had the one, right? If there's some asshole that's standing in the middle duct taping everybody else's square, you're not going to have a very good dance party. But people don't realize that. It's like, I'm right, you're wrong. The 69 comes in where it's like, if there was a 6 that was sitting in front of me right now, and I'm looking at that as a 6, that's a 6 to me. And I'm going to say, that's a 6. I'm going to die on that hill saying that's a 6 because that's from my perspective what it is. But if you're looking at it from where you are, it's a 9, right? So if you dig in your heels and you say, this is a 9, and I'm like, you idiot, this is a 6. And you're like, you're out of your mind. This is a 9. That's where we are in our world right now, right? With all of the division that we have with all of these things is everyone saying, I'm right, I'm right. Well, hey, ding dong, you're looking at the 6. Everyone else is looking at a 9, right? So being able to really realize that, opening your mind to that a little bit and then being able to celebrate those differences instead of feeling like I have to convince you that I'm right.
Right.
No one's going to convince anybody that you're right. Newsflash, we're all right. From your unique perspective, Kendall, from your how you present and anything that has happened to you up until this point, your parents and whether you had both parents involved, siblings that you had, what economics, bracket you were in growing up, all of those things, experiences, trauma, all of those things get to where your viewpoint is right now. What a beautiful thing to understand your perspective. So if we could all come from this place of being more curious about one another's perspective and say more about that, I am fascinated by other people and what lessons they have or what experiences they have. So instead of coming from this place of you don't agree with everything that I say, so fuck you, right?
Who wants to agree with everybody?
Exactly.
How boring.
Absolutely. So this is just kind of a fun way of a visualization of kind of showing that and also just pointing it out in a way of wake up a little bit, right? Because once you're able to understand there are alternative perspectives to things, it opens your eyes. You don't have to necessarily change your mind about anything, but if somebody gave you an alternative perspective that you could look at for a specific topic, whatever that is, it just opens your mind a little bit to I had never thought of it that way, you know? So the 69 initiative and the 69 chapter that's in here is just kind of giving some visuals that I think are really powerful to be able to see things that way.
Well, for me, I'd be like, let's switch spots and see what it looks like.
Absolutely, right? Isn't that great? Energy is everything, and most of us are spending it like drunk gamblers at a Vegas blackjack table. My book is built around one simple but powerful tool, quantifying your energy so you know exactly where it's going and how to get more of it back. Think of it as a manual for your soul's fuel tank. If you're tired of running on empty, this book will show you how to fill back up and keep yourself in the game long enough to actually win. Get your copy of the Life Hack Playbook on Amazon or on the podcast website, letsgetnakedpodcast.com. How many times in your life do you take things where you're like, okay, let me put the shoe on the other foot? Because when I started doing that in my healing journey, that was a big part of it is, okay, what was my impact on other people? I got sober 9 years ago. What was my impact before getting sober and after? Always, what is my impact on the other people that are doing life with me? And when you're brave enough to look in the mirror and kind of get those answers back from people about what was your impact, what was that impact? It just shows a different perspective of who you are, how you present, what your impact is on the world. Be able to open your eyes and put the shoe on the other foot, so powerful.
How were you able to do it?
God, I don't even remember where in the work that I was doing where it was just so important to do that. Because, if you come from this place of, I'm right, this is, like really standing firm on, I'm right, you're wrong, right? It's a 6 from here, it's not a 9, all of that. If you do that, it's very limiting. It's a very isolating way to go through life. So if I could say like, what do you see from where you're standing, right? And you say like, well, I got a 9 over here. And instead of me going, wrong, instead of me doing that, instead of saying like, let's look at that. What does that look like from your perspective? So when you can have conversations, open conversations, vulnerable conversations, where you can say, what does life look like from your perspective? We can learn so much from each other instead of just yelling at the top of our lungs, you're wrong, I'm right. Like no one's going to convince anybody of that, to be able to like bring it down to a level of human connection and really being able to lean into that. It's powerful.
What do you think the first step is for somebody who's looking to try to change their perspective?
I think just if you can literally visualize whatever the topic is, right? Whatever it is that you're getting interested about, set that down for a minute. Just step away from it. Literally visualize, okay, I'm going to set down everything that I believe about that for a second. And then I'm going to look at it through somebody else's lens. Right? Whatever that is. I'm going to look at things through a Black man's lens or a child's lens or a Hispanic woman's lens in her 20s, like whatever that is. How are they experiencing that? It helps you to understand why there's so much fear and hate in the world because from their perspective, that's how they're perceiving things, right? That's their reality. And when you realize that, all of our realities are completely different, and being able to like, I don't want to think about how I am. Let's take a charged topic. Let's take abortion, right? Abortion is something that's for some reason we're still fucking
always.
Which is something we're still talking about, which I still don't understand, right? Let's just we'll save that for a full-length episode. But what I'm saying is, if I come from this perspective of, okay, I'm going to set down my beliefs on abortion, and I want to look from someone else's perspective on that, right? I have people that are close in my life that have very different beliefs than I do. To be able to listen to them and to have that conversation and to not get defensive because I've set my beliefs down. I'm just listening to what makes up that for you. That vulnerable conversation is so powerful to be able to just open your mind a little bit. You don't have to change mine. I love when people do change mine, right? When I'm able to listen to somebody else's belief and go, you know what? That tracks better for me than what I believed before. That's my favorite. When people actually...
Or if it like resonates with you.
Of course, right? Like whatever part of that you take. But the goal isn't to change somebody else's mind. It's just really to like be able to feel things from their side because everybody's perspective is completely unique and different. So to be able to just have someone that you're able to trust and have a vulnerable conversation with about, tell me why you feel that way. I have friends that are in all of the everything, right? Both sides of the aisle, all of the colors of the rainbow, both skin tone and, sexuality and all of the things that go into that. I fucking love it. It's like, tell me more about what your life experience is and what that has looked like for you. Like, I'm addicted to perspective. This is one of my favorite chapters, and it's something where I'm going to continue that into other books because I just think that there's so much to it. It's like I'm looking at mine through my lens that has the different filters and all of the things, but you're looking at something completely different. And that doesn't take away from it. It doesn't have to be an either or. It can be an and. And that's all I'm going to say about that.